All right, guys, there we are. I was just double checking to make sure everything was running properly. Hopefully, you can hear me. Looks like it. It looks like my audio is peaking, actually. Let me lower it just a little bit. Tell me if that's good. I lowered it. Okay, we're starting a little bit early. You can see it's almost 10 till 11. Uh, okay, so I got up this morning and I noticed that the hotel from this weekend, as you might know, I went to NashCon, and my wife had reserved a room for me. What did I do with it? What did I do with that thing? I just had it right here. Maybe not. I put it on the printer. Okay, fine. Okay, so my wife reserved a room for me, and when I got to the hotel, they asked for a credit card from me. And the reason why they asked for a credit card from me was I'm assuming that if I damage something or if I use an amenity or take their room key or something, they would bill me, right? Okay. Uh, they needed a credit card on file for protection. I get that. That's not a problem at all. But then I get home and I check my bank account and I see that they're billing me for this room that uh, they had already billed my wife for. Now, if they had not billed my wife and they're trying to swap the bill over to my credit card um, instead of using her credit card, getting ready to call them right now and let them know that was not my intention. So let's get this resolved. And that's why I started a few minutes early so that you guys can hear me complain with Marriott. Okay, I should be up and running. Let's see if I know how to make a phone call on this thing, since I never do. Okay, know how to dial. That's good. Um, And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on speaker so you can hear these guys talking. Um, I don't plan to do anything with it, like I'm not recording this for uh, as a gotcha. I'm not trying to do that.
The hotel in Nashville, Tennessee. Please listen closely as your prompts may have changed. For reservations, please press 1. For sales and catering, please press 2. For shuttle service, please press 3. For human resources, please press 4. For directions to our hotel, please press 5. And to reach the operator, please press 0.
I guess it would be the operator.
Please hold. The Sheraton Music City Hotel.
It could be one reservations, but I was afraid they might put me in.
Music City.
Hey, this is Derek Kingery. I just stayed there this weekend. I have a little bit of a issue that I was hoping maybe you guys can resolve for me. I appreciate you, man, if you can. Um,
Go for it.
yeah, the my wife had reserved a room for me for the weekend, and she did that for me for Christmas, all that. And then when I get there, the gentleman at the desk he takes my credit card, and I'm assuming it's for covering any additional like damages or yeah, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But then when I get home, I'm being billed for the room and on my credit card and not my wife's.
You said what was the last name?
Kingery, Kingery. It's Derek.
Derick.
No, it's Darick.
Darick.
You got it. Yeah. Now on my bank, I know why you're looking up, but on my bank it says it's still pending, so it hasn't actually gone through. But well, they've already taken the money out of my account, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't. I don't think there should be any kind of charge there at all. And well, maybe a little, but I don't think I did any damage.
Yeah, I could take a look for you.
Okay, I appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. So I see here it was the MasterCard and 7830 that was charged.
Right, that's mine.
Okay.
Hers ends in 5188. It's a Visa, it looks like. I don't have the full information, unfortunately, because I'm just looking at the computer printout reservation. She's not here.
Yep, 5188.
Right. Which I thought would have been paid for back in December. But maybe, I don't know, maybe you guys wait till the last minute to charge the card.
Yeah, so we don't actually check, we don't actually deposit anything until you actually check out.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay, give me just a second.
Yeah, no problem. All right, guys, it looks like we're making progress. Let's hope this gentleman can take care of us. Otherwise, we're going to have an issue. If all else fails, like if she doesn't get charged and I do get charged, what we can probably do is transfer money from one card to the other, but that would be too. That's not the way these cards are set up. So I don't want to do that. I want him to resolve it on his end. And then we'll talk about the convention and what happened at the event. I'll talk about the hotel a little bit, letting you guys know what kind of an experience I had there. Also, we'll talk a little bit about games and what games I played, what kind of miniatures, what kind of dealers were there, etc. You know, just basically a recap of the events of the weekend. And while I'm doing that, I should be constructing some models over here that I still have some Hungarians that need to be worked on. I washed them. They're clean. They're dry. They just need to be assembled so that I can start painting them. So we'll be doing some assembly of some bolt action models today on camera. But I want to get this taken care of first. Priorities. I don't know why their phone is breaking up.
Mr. Derek?
Yes.
Alright, so I went ahead and left a request in there for you. We will get that adjusted off for you.
Okay, so somebody else has to do it then?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I don't have access to that right now, but we'll get accounting to make a new reservation and charge the Visa and 5188 instead.
Okay. I appreciate that. I'll be looking at it, and I'll get back to you if there's a... How long do you think that might take?
3 to 5 days at least.
Okay. So I'll check this weekend. All right. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Have a great day.
You have a good day, too.
Oh.
Okay, guys. I've got a question for you. Do you think that was resolved? Do you think that was resolved? I don't. I personally don't have any faith that there's going to be a transfer of funds. But I am going to make a note here to remind me and to remind them when I have to call them back that I don't even know the guy's name. He never gave me his name. He just said Sheridan or whatever. What was the date? Is today 8/23? I think it is. Called to be adjusted. Okay. So that will let me know when I need to follow up to find out what the hell is going on. If it takes a month, I don't care. I don't care. It's not like that's going to put me at zero balance or cause grief on my account. I'm not going to be charged like extras or anything like that. But I want it resolved ASAP because it might go on for a while and then get out of a window of a possible adjustment. So he said 3 to 5 days. That's not acceptable for me. Today is Tuesday. I'm going to call him back probably in 2 days. Thursday, I'm probably going to call back. Thursday or Friday. I'm going to do it at least Thursday or Friday before the weekend to see if it's been resolved. Or if I look on my bank account and I see that that's been removed, or if I see that the pending charge cleared, I think I'm going to give him another call. All right, guys. Because right now it's just pending, which you would think it wouldn't be pending, but, I don't know. Let me get rid of the Sheraton website. I don't need it. Bring over the camera. Okay, good. Okay, we're all set. We got a clean table. We've got cameras. We've got tons of miniatures. I've got an upset stomach. Yeah, that's always good. Okay, I got upset stomach. So I got some Pepto at my desk. Hopefully in a couple of minutes that'll kick in. Okay. These are all for a customer of mine. I just did last night. I did a couple of what's in the boxes for the Prussian commanders and the French commanders of Black Powder Epic, right? So those are going to go up. And I'm actually pleased with these. I'm not pleased. There's many things about these that I'm not pleased with. But one of the things that I am pleased with is it seems like these are only about 1 millimeter short of my 15 millimeter Old Glories. And they look almost identical on the table. So if I was to base them up and flock them and paint them and put them on the table as a general, separate from everything else, because you know how generals, they're not like, they're usually a lone figure or something on the table, and usually, and so I think there should be no problem integrating them because of how close the model scales are. Okay, so we've got some anti-tank teams. We've got some Pack 36s. And we have some mace launchers. And then there's some Hanved right here. These guys, there's like 6 models. When I was painting his British Commandos, I also had some Rangers ready to go, and I don't like painting them both at the same time. It just takes it doubles the time. So I went to paint his Rangers, or not his Rangers, his British Commandos, got them finished, shipped them off to him, everything's good. And then when I started with the Rangers, I was like, what about these guys? These guys don't look exactly like a Ranger. What are these? Oh yeah, they're more British Commandos. So I still have 6 more British Commandos I'm going to have to eventually do for this guy. And then I've got some Hungarians. These are all his Hungarians. Now, I had already done a bunch of Hungarians. I don't know if they were for him or if they were for someone else. But he wants, like, this. I think it was for him. But those were all, like, line infantry guys, the Hanved division, where these are all specialty troops. And that's the name of that tune. Okay. Glue. We're gonna need it. I meant to do an open box. No. I keep saying open box, but because that's what I used to call my boxing videos. But now I'm calling them what is in the box, like what's in the box. Now I've already done a video for the 101st Pathfinders from Berlin or Bust, right? Which is a West Wind production, which is sold by Old Glory, right? So I think of these as Old Glory models, but really they're West Wind, and their line is called Berlin or Bust. These guys are like 28 millimeter World War II, and they're good, great prices, everything's good. But I've already done a what's in the box for that, and so what I was planning on doing is doing a what's in the box for this file set that I have. I think you know all of this already. I think I've talked about it on my stream. And it comes with a ton of files, but there's one in particular, this one, that I'm going to use today, on the base of some of these guys here. We're going to file down their whatchamahoozits. Okay, now these are all glued together. I'm going to set them off to the side. After I prime these guys, then we'll start painting them all together. Right. So I see that we got some people in the chat. We got some people on the stream. I appreciate you guys stopping by and spending your Tuesday morning / afternoon with me, listening to me ramble about wargaming. Okay, now, as you might or might not already know, I'm very bad at multitasking. When it comes to talking about something that I'm not working on, right? So if I was talking about these while working on them, I would have no problem doing that. But I'm getting ready to tell you a little bit about the convention while I'm doing this, and so there might be some dead air or some pauses and delays. So just work with me, please. I appreciate everybody out there that does. Now, I have donations activated on YouTube. It's that little $, show your support for Wargaming in Miniature. I very rarely, if ever, receive donations through there. And that's fine. Don't sweat it. But I'm just letting you know. I very rarely receive like people coming to the stream. They spend a couple hours with me every week, and then I log out, right? And we're done. Or I will stream a computer game, or I will stream my role-playing games, which we got one coming up tomorrow night as well, a premiere for our Greek campaign. It's Ancient Greece. D&D Ancient Greece, with hoplites and oracles and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm just trying to say is, I'm beating around the bush. I have that activated so people can donate, but you don't have to. But because this is where I'm making an excuse right now, because I don't get these donations, I'm forced to put advertisements on the videos. Okay, so what that means is sometimes the video will be interrupted by a commercial, right? You got to either click out of it, or you have to wait till it's ending, or whatever, right? And then that is the way my channel gets revenue. So I'll upload a video, like a what's in the box video, and then you'll probably see like 3 commercials, like one at the start, one in the middle, one at the end, or something like that. And I understand it can be annoying, right? It can be frustrating or whatever. You're getting into the video, and then blam, you get hit in the face with a commercial, and then you got to wait for it to play and then get back to my video. So I get that. I get that. But I can't do anything about that unless the community started supporting me directly. So if the community started like making donations, like $2 a week or $1 a week, if I was to get like 10 people donating like $2 a week, I would turn off all my commercials, right? Because those commercials hit everyone, but I know that if I've got like 10 supporters that are doing their best to help out, then they are actually helping everybody in the community. But as soon as those donations stop, I would be forced to turn the commercials back on. So just understand that's why there's commercials. So don't worry about it. Not everybody can donate, you know, and or should be required to. I personally, you know, will watch a stream maybe once in a blue moon. I really love the stream, but because I don't watch it on a regular basis, I don't feel like donating to that channel. So I get that. I get that. Okay, so who do I want to start with? I think I want to start with these guys because they look like they would be the easiest. When I ordered these from Warlord, when I ordered these from Warlord, they don't come in little boxes or blister packs with pictures and paint schemes and all that. These guys came in bare bones, just like this, right? You get and then he's got a little sticker, and that's what I got in the mail, just like that. I did not get a box. I did not get something like this, you know, which gives you like painting ideas, and you know, even though one of these is actually inside this box, I don't get that when I ordered any of these Hungarians. They just came in a box with no thank you. It was like, here you go, take this. Okay. I don't have my I was gonna say glasses and eyes in the same word, and I messed that up. Okay, I don't have my glasses on, or the proper glasses, so I don't see the details. So I put these on. I'm starting to feel like my eyes are adjusting a little bit to the better, because with my weaker glasses, I'm actually able to see the miniatures fairly clearly, but not 100% clear. And then when I put these Coke bottle glasses on that I normally used to wear to do fine detail like this, I'm finding that it's too powerful. So maybe my eyes are improving. I know there's something about diabetes that affects your eyes, and then if you manage your sugar intakes and all that stuff, your eyes will actually recover, and I think that's what's happening with me. Okay. I want to make sure that I am using the right base for the right figure, etc., because this is a commission and he did not direct me otherwise. It's not like it's a personal project where I put them where I want them. This is not for me, so I can't, I would feel wrong doing these as I would do them. And I'm going to tell you right now, what I would do is not use these plastic 1-inch bases on metal miniatures. I would definitely use these on plastic miniatures. And the main reason why that is the plastic miniatures don't have this solid metal base on the bottom, you know, like this has a solid metal. The plastic ones, imagine that piece being gone, they would glue on directly to the base. But most of my metal washers that I get for basing, I use 1-inch fender washers, and I use the fender washer because the hole in the middle is super small. You know, it's like 1/8 inch. Might not even be it. Yeah, it's about 1/8 of an inch. Or maybe 3/16 or something like that. It's pretty small. And if I use plastic on those metal, then that hole is not covered, and I would have to fill it with putty or something as an extra step. Even though the washer bases are the best, in my opinion. One of the reasons why I love them so much, you can magnetize your tray and they'll stick to your magnets. Plus, you can, they give the model weight. Plastic models don't have hardly any weight, and so they feel like really fiddly and easily broken or whatever. But if you give them weight, then they feel more durable, and it's just a better feeling model. I know it's weird, and it also gives it a lower center of balance, so the figures don't want to tip over or fall over, especially like when you got them on a slope on a hill or something like that. So whenever possible, I try to use the metal washers, but this guy made a specific request to use the Warlord bases. Now, I don't have any metal pill bases. I do have some wood pill bases, but that was really just a stopgap. Okay. Okay, that's a bipod for maybe an anti-tank rifle. I'm kind of guessing on that. Okay. I'm not actually doing any cleaning. I'm kind of just eyeballing them. I'm eyeballing them? No. Okay. I'm getting an idea of what I'm actually working with here. Okay, this guy's carrying... Maybe he's the Bazooka Man's... except that looks like a Panzerschreck. Okay. It's funny, the Hungarians... I actually like painting Hungarians, believe it or not. Mainly because they're different than what I normally paint. I normally don't work with Hungarians at all. I don't have a Hungarian army. I don't have Hungarian models anywhere. So when someone says, hey, can you paint me some Hungarians? I'm like, of course, that sounds fun. Not just fun, but different than what I normally do. Okay. So this guy looks like he would be a loader for that anti-tank rifle. The guy with no head looks like he would be the gunner for the anti-tank rifle because the head and arm is attached to the gun itself. And this guy with the big boxes on his shoulder, or in his hands, they're long, they're like bazooka shells or Panzerschreck shells. So they would be the gunner, assistant gunner for that. Okay, so that's really all it is. It's just 2-man team for the Panzerschreck and a 2-man team for the anti-tank rifle. Okay. And then the anti-tank rifles will each have their bipods. They're not trans, they're bi. Okay. Sorry, I had to go there. Okay, so while I'm trimming this, don't worry about me just trimming away. I'm going to be talking about the convention, okay? So I pack up Friday. Actually, I pack everything up and leave it in the house on Thursday, and then Friday morning I take everything from the house. Okay, this guy doesn't need any trimming. Okay, from the house to the car, and then I film an exit video like, hey, you know, we're getting ready to leave, we're going to the convention, blah blah blah. I hated that video, so I deleted it during editing. I was like, nope, I'm gonna re-record this. So I re-recorded that on Sunday night. You know, even after I had returned, I basically said, okay, you know, blah blah blah, welcome to the channel. And then during the convention, I didn't do a whole lot of video commentary. I did record and walk around a little bit, but not enthusiastically. That wasn't the reason why I'm there. I'm not recording NashCon as a primary purpose. What I was doing was just giving a little feel to you guys of what the convention was about, right? Because the reason why I was there was for me to play. I wanted to experience some games that I've not played, and I wanted to you know, meet old friends and play games with them. It wasn't about the recording. So the recording is kind of shoddy, I'm going to be honest. I wasn't really focusing on it. I brought my camera, and when I thought about it, I recorded some stuff, but that wasn't why I was there. Okay, and so then played some games, recorded some tables, walked around to the dealers. I noticed that the dealers, it didn't feel like they were very professional. There was like 2 or 3, maybe let me think about that. There was one all the way in the back. There was one on the right. And there was 2 all the way in the front. So how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 4 dealers there that I thought were professional. Like they had the proper racks, they had full shelves, they had backup inventory that was not out in additional like storage and boxes behind their shelves. They had a sign, you know, saying who they were, and then the others, which is probably about twice as many, I'm going to say probably about 8, were fly-by-night dealers. I wouldn't be, as a retailer, I would not have been comfortable advertising a store with those kind of setups. Now, if they were just flea market vendors, okay, that's kind of the feel I got from them. They felt like they were just flea market vendors. They had tubs full of junk, and the junk was just scattered in there, and you had to dig through it, you know. There was some of the dealers, like I'd walk up, I'd look at something, a book, and then I would look around for the dealer. He would be nowhere to be seen, you know, which means, you know, he trusted everybody, and that's good, but he didn't close his shop down. He just like walked away. And I came by his booth 2 or 3 times, and he was only there once. But I wound up not buying it anyway because I was just going to ask him some questions about it, but I really had no intention of buying it anyway. Okay, so the dealers I was not impressed with. A couple of them I was. There was definitely a few nice dealers there. And one of those nice dealers is where I bought those Commander models. They had a Warlord Games shelf, which I would have to say had $3,000 or $4,000 worth of product on these shelves, because she had armies, she had starter sets, she had like every army for bolt action, every army for Hail Caesar, SPQR, she had every army. I was very impressed with that. And then she had all these boxes. She didn't really have very many blister packs, but I've encountered that exact same problem with blister packs from Warlord Games. If you're not one of their trusted retailers, i.e., you have their name, you have their name in your name, then you don't get blister packs, right? Like these, I didn't order these as a retailer, wholesale. I had to order these retail because they don't sell these to me. That's why I'm kind of surprised the boxes came looking the way they did. I fully expected these to be retail boxes, but they were, well, I guess they're mail order boxes, because I guess if you're a mail order guy, you don't need the actual box. I don't know. But it was mail order. Okay, so the dealers, I went around, I shopped. I didn't really see anything I wanted. They had some really cool stuff. There were some guys, or this one guy was selling a bunch of World War II painted half tracks. I personally would not ever buy a painted model. And that's me. And that's because I paint. That's my thing, right? I paint commissions and stuff like that. So why would I buy someone else's painted models? And but I did enjoy looking at them and checking out like how he did it. And have you ever gone to, or are you familiar with something called a palette? When it comes to food, okay? So if you've got a good palette, which basically is meaning you could scoop up a stew, and then you could eat it, and your palate will identify each of the different ingredients, the food, the spices, the whatever additional things, love and care is put into that food. If you've got a good palate, you can kind of identify things. Well, I think that I've got a good painting palette, so when I look at a painted model, I can evaluate how it was painted. Like I can say, oh, that way he used this color primer, it's pretty obvious, and then he used this shade, and then he highlighted with this shade, and then he might have applied a wash from this company in this color or whatever, right? And I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on all of that. And so I'm looking at these half tracks and I'm thinking to myself, these don't look good. But on the other hand, they look extremely well. So what I'm trying to get at is, they look like they were bought at Walmart. Not literally, but I glance at these models and they're all the same, which that's okay, because the uniformity of the uniform and all that. That's fine. And these are vehicles, so use the same color, the same painting technique, same everything on each of them, which you would expect someone to do. But when I looked at them and I imagined them in an army on the table, they looked like they were cookie cutter, like they were mass produced. Nothing wrong with mass production, especially if you only sell one model to a player. He's not going to have two of the same half tracks, right? But if you were a big spender, or if you were building an army for the first time and you needed maybe 3 half tracks or something, they would all look exactly the same. And it's not like that's necessarily a bad thing, because that's not a bad thing, really. But the problem was, they looked, and this is where the problem comes in, they looked like they were directly off the showroom floor. There was no weathering. There was no, yes, he had highlights and he had washes, but the washes were so clean that there was no weathering, or the highlights were so precise that it looked like it looks like he spent a lot of time on them, but unfortunately that time was spent in a way that made them look artificial, if that's a word I can use. Did they look good? Yes. Could you tell that he put a lot of effort into them? Yes. But if I was going to buy those, which I wouldn't, but if I was, I would have to take them home and put some additional work into them to make them look run down or weathered or have some scratches on them or stuff like that. And I'm not going to buy a model pre-painted and then have to go work on it. I don't mind doing that. I don't mind buying a half-painted model knowing that I'm going to take it home and finish it. I do that sometimes. But these guys, they were fully painted, and he was charging as if everything was complete, and it wasn't. Yeah, so I think a half track was like $59, I'm thinking, which is pretty close to what I charge for a half track, a tank. But I'll put that extra effort. I'll put weathering. I'll use some of that AK grass mud on the tracks or whatever. I'll go through and I'll use a sponge and put some like rust spots on the edges of a tank or whatever. I'll try to make it look a little less pristine, and then I'll charge the same price. So in effect, I felt like they were overpriced. But I wouldn't. But that's him. And plus, it's a convention, so you might be able to get away with it and charge that, and that's fine. Maybe he's got a good customer base that likes that style of painting. That's not you guys. You guys that shop at my channel know what I do, know how I go to the extra mile and try to do, decals even. I'll put decal solution. His decals were obviously just stuck on top of the paint, where I will put a decal on before I go to weather it so that the decal itself gets weathered. It was just a different painting style, a different technique. And that's what I like to do. I like to go around to the different dealers, see what they've got, and see if I can learn something from them. Which I did learn something from this guy. I learned that he thought that was good. Um, Now, I had thought about grabbing some of my vehicles, some of my SS that I've got up on the shelf, some skeletons, some D&D models, even some box sets that I'm selling on eBay or whatever. I considered putting that in a box, taking it down there, and sitting behind a booth. Maybe make some money. But again, that's not why I went to this convention. I didn't go as a store. I went as a gamer. And as a game, when you go to a convention as a store, you are too busy to enjoy the convention, right? You're just there trying to sell stuff, and people are, coming by your booth 24/7, and you're just trying to, or however long it's open, and you're trying to, sell them something. And I didn't want to do that. I have done that for 20 years. I don't want to do that. I wanted to go play. And by playing some games that I've never played before, I learn a little bit about these other game systems, and maybe I'll enjoy them. Maybe it's a game system that I would really enjoy and maybe want to get into. Or maybe it'll enlighten me in a game that I haven't tried, and now I don't want to try ever again. So, like, I played Fire and Fury. We won handedly. We basically just destroyed the British. I did not like that game. Yes, we played, we won, and it started off badly. If you go watch my NashCon review video, I talk about how that game started and an interaction I had with one of the other players, and it probably put a little bit of a sour note in my mouth for that entire game, but I didn't have any interactions with him throughout the entire game, and the people I did have interactions with were adults, very polite. And I think we had a good time. Even though most of the ones that I interacted with, I was kicking their ass, they were still polite about it. They were being the old stiff upper lip British. And I was the Germans. I was playing the 21st Panzer Division. I was actually just playing like half of a battalion. But when you get to the actual die rolls, and that's what I'm talking about, the game mechanics, how you determine if you hit, how you determine what the casualties are. It seems like, and it is called rapid fire. Okay, so I think the designer meant for that game to be fast, played fast and furious, right? And so he generalizes too many things. And when it comes to tanks, the infantry, okay, every man's a man, that's no big deal. A rifle is a rifle is a rifle. I get that. I'm okay with that. But when it comes to a tank, and you've got different guns, you can put them in gun classes. Okay, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with like a light gun, a very light gun, a heavy gun. And by doing that, he eliminated penetration. He basically just said, you have a gun, it's in a class, that's what it is, right? Whether it's a long barrel, a short barrel, or whatever, you'd look on a chart and you would see what class it was. A through, well, actually the classes were in numbers, 1 through 4 or 5 or something like that. And that's good. And then the vehicle is given a class as well, and that's a letter. So it's number versus letter, and that's exactly what Battle Group does as well. They do a number for penetration and a letter for armor. And then you cross-reference them and you get a number to hit. That's what Battle Group does. And so Rapid Fire does the exact same thing. But when there's only 5 weapon classes and there's only 5 armor classes, it basically waters the entire, variations down. Like a Panther and a Panzer IV-H might have the same armor, which is, as you and I know, is not really the case. Or a Panther and a Panzer IV-H might have the same gun. And then when you shoot, doesn't matter if you shoot them in the side, the rear, the front, or whatever. The tank has a class. You have a gun. You measure it. You figure it out, and then that's the number you roll, right? And I think what the rules are trying to portray is you're not shooting at a single tank. So you're not shooting at, it's a platoon of tanks. So you're not really getting them in the rear. You're getting, you're just shooting at a platoon of tanks, which might be deployed in various directions. That was in my own headcanon why there was no modifiers for that. There is a moving modifier, but not a shooting them in the side modifier, which Battle Group, luckily, has every tank is unique, and it has its own front, side, and rear armor. Now, might that armor be the same as another tank? Yes. But let's just use the Martyr as an example. The Martyr would have a way better armor in the front than it would in the rear, because it's open in the back. That's what I would think. I would think that the Martyr would have pretty much no armor in the rear and a decent armor in the front. But in Rapid Fire, it's just the Martyr has this armor, period. Not only is the armor, I kind of like this in a way, but I felt like it was wrong. I couldn't get past it because of my history in wargaming, I suppose. But there's no roll to hit. You just look at your weapon value, you look at his armor value, and you check to see if you do any damage. So they combine the to hit with the to damage into one value, which does make it faster. I like that. I appreciate that. But it's just not the way I would like to have done it. I think when it comes to tanks, I would think you would roll to hit, and then if you hit, you would roll to penetrate or damage. But again, you're not shooting an individual tank, you're shooting a platoon. So that might actually work out better. But I don't know, I just didn't like the rules. It had a bunch of scenarios and stuff. There were scenario campaign books and stuff like that that Joe was using. Okay, so that can go on first, and then I'll put the bipod on at the end. That was the last game I played, was the Rapid Fire. Friday night, I played a game. It had no name. It was handwritten on a piece of paper. There was like 2 movement rules, 1 shooting rule, and that was pretty much it. Okay, there's a cross arm. Maybe I could put a little glue on that cross arm piece and see if it all fits together. Oh, it does. There we go. Anti-tank rifle, minus the bipod. Probably. Come on, Hungarian. Yeah, that's gonna look good. It was a World War I game, and we, as infantry, I was playing an infantry platoon. Every man was a single man. I was starting on one end of the table, and about somewhere in the middle of the table was a bridge, and that was our side's objective. We had some cavalry, which actually, on horseback, because this is World War One. Even though there was horse cavalry in World War II as well, just not as much as in World War One. And those guys ran up, got engaged in the battle like right away, because they had like an 18-inch movement. And I'm sitting there with a 6-inch movement, and that's if I run. I can move 6 inches. And the game was supposed to only be 10 turns. So by the time I got within firing range of the enemy, the game was over. And that was with me moving full every turn. So I think he needs to rethink of the scale, or rethink how far infantry can move, or the table, or something. It just felt like it was all cavalry. Because they got there like on turn 2 and fought the entire game, and the infantry, me and a couple of other players, were charging forward every turn, trying to get into the game. And we did, because the guy in the middle had a road that he could put his guys in column, and you get like double move on the road. So he could run up there and get into the fight. But the rest of us, the ones that are going up the sides, we didn't have roads. So we screwed. Sometimes the glue doesn't want to grip like in the first 15 seconds. This is not rapid fuse. This is just regular glue. It's Gorilla Super Glue. So what I normally have to do is actually hold it in place for 10 to 15 seconds for it to grip like that, but not on the initial impact. What I do is I put, this is just anecdotal, I'll stick it together and then I'll pull it apart because it'll put glue on both parts. And then after a few seconds, I'll go back in and push them together and hold them for about 10 seconds. And then it'll be good. And then it will be good. Okay. And I got a dirty fingernail. What the heck? Where'd that dirt come from? Oh, damn. Okay, I'm glad I remembered this. It's freaking almost 12 o'clock. Oh, shit. I could have done this earlier, but I didn't. I put it off and I didn't think about it because I was calling the Marriott. I've got some miniatures I got to box up. And I got to get them out in the mail before the mailman gets here. He normally gets here at about 1, so I still have an hour or so. But I don't want to forget. Oh, really? You're going to be like this, you little bastard? Okay. You Hungarian bastard! I think my fingers are getting stuck on this glue. Hang on. What the hell? This guy, man, he's giving me grief. Okay, bastard. Let's get in there. Let's hold you down in proper places. Yeah, you stick. You're good. But then when I put you on that bipod, you're like, nope, I'm out. Aha, there we go. We're on it. Okay, so what? That's what I get for moving it. Dang it. Okay, there we go. There we go. This guy's a Hungarian bastard. My finger wants to stick to him because I think I've got some residue on there. And okay. Yeah. That's barely hanging on. That one's really good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the last anti-tank gun, anti-tank rifle together. And then we're going to box up this unit. It's basically the Empress Dragoons in 28 millimeter. One of my favorite Napoleonic units. I just love the way they look. And the Empress Dragoons are, whenever I start a new miniature scale, I will usually, the first unit I'll buy is the Empress Dragoons. Oh, okay, that one's stuck like, boop, stuck. They just look cool. To me, they just have this unique air about them. Having said that, I have not painted the Empress Dragoons in 15 millimeter for my 15 millimeter project. Why? The Empress Dragoons are not at Quatre Bras. But that doesn't stop me from painting them, before. Because I painted them before because I was going to proxy them as just a regular Dragoon unit for Quatre Bras. But I have all the Dragoons, so I don't need to proxy any Empress Dragoons in there this time. But okay. Perfect. Okay, they're going to dry. It'll take a few seconds. Assembling the mortars and the anti-tank guns and the mace launchers, that's going to be a little bit of a chore, but that's okay. This shouldn't take me that long to box up what we'll do is I'll let you watch me while I do it. Hey, how about that? It is part of Wargaming, is painting and shipping. Okay. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about my World War II game that I ran. Where's my Empress Dragoons? That's it. Oh, here they are. Now these are front rank miniatures, so they're metal, and you might notice that I've based them 3 on a base and not the standard 2. You know how Warlord, their bases are 50 millimeters, which is basically 2 inches for 2 figures. Well, I put 3 inches for 3 figures. You know, you probably can't see, it's probably not focused very well. Empress Dragoons, I love them. But now they're somebody else's. He paid for them, paid for shipping. They're going to him. Now I'm going to try to remember here the size of the box that I need to use. Maybe a 5 by 6 would not be big enough. 4 would be too tight, I think. Yeah, 5 by 6 is probably not big enough. 7 by 5, okay, maybe that'll do it. Perfect. Yeah, I've got a variety of different boxes over here in various sizes because I do a lot of shipping. Now these guys are gonna get some bubble wrap and some peanuts. Because what I like to do, I know I'm talking about this, but what I like to do is put some peanuts down in between the figures. I manually come in, you know, and force them down in between the horses, front and back, along the side of the rider to give the riders a little bit more protection. But then I'm also going to wrap them with bubble wrap, so they should be 100%. 100%. Yeah, these are one of my favorite units. Not that I game with them very often, because how often do you really put the guard cav on the table, you know? If you've put the guard cav on the table more than 2 times, then you have got a problem. you're one of those guys that likes to play with SS or Grenadier Guards or Necrons, you guys know what I'm talking about. The elite gamer. That's what I call them. And they think I'm giving them a compliment. Oh, you're an elite gamer. Yeah, so that's like a backhanded insult. Because they only play with elite units. Not because he's a good gamer. I know, that's me being mean, isn't it? I shouldn't be like that. Just can't help myself. I'm a bad, bad boy. Okay. Alright, Mr. E. You know, my name's, like, I use a handle called Mr. Everything. And there are, oh, this might not fit in this box. I didn't even think about it. Ooh, hang on. Yeah, that's going to put pressure on the standard. Yikes. So maybe I'll need to put these guys in the sideways. Oh. Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see how that works. I didn't think about that. I needed a 4-inch top. Normally with Cav, I go with 4 inches. That's what she said. No. Because of the standards. I just wasn't thinking. I guess it's you guys. I blame you. My audience. No, I'm just kidding. You've distracted me. Well, it's true, but it's not a bad thing. Yeah, I love these guys. Oh, I keep saying that, but it's mainly because I like the little leopard skin that I put on their helmets and stuff. It really makes them stand out with, yeah, it makes them stand out. In 28 millimeter, in 15s, it's hard to really see that, but I will put a little effort in and try to paint that on my 15s once I get my guard cab. Okay, so these are in there. Am I going to be able to put this guy in there? Oh, good. He fit. And then I manually fill in between the units, the bases, to make sure they don't slide around inside there, banging up on each other. And then, no indent, no, just indent. Now this box is heavy, because its front rank, first of all, are fat and heavy, and there are 12 of them. So this is probably not even going to go first class. It's probably going to be priority, just because of the weight. So I could have put it in a priority box, but oh well, too late. Yep, that's almost 2 pounds. Sorry about that little detour there. Where are you at? Aha, here we are. Nope, that's the wrong button. There we go. Oh, apparently there's a second unit as well. I didn't realize that. I can get him taken care of in no time at all. Let my printer warm up. Let's change this to 1, 8. Something went wrong. Why? Okay, I clicked 3 times. Now, if they bill me 3 times, I'm going to freak out because it said something went wrong. So I clicked it again. And then it said something went wrong. I clicked it again. And it's not bringing up my order. Okay, paid and shipped. There's purchase another. Don't want to do that. I have a feeling it's already done that. Okay, here we go. Actions, reprint. There we go. And now it pops up, no problem. Okay, let's print that. Now hopefully they didn't bill me 3 times for that. If they did, I'll have to go in and request an adjustment. Yay. Okay, so now there is another order on here, but this one should be really quick. It's basically just a bazooka team. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm conducting business on stream, you know. When the labels are too big, I gotta cut them down to fit on the box. Now this guy's a return customer. He's bought from me before, so he must like my work. I think he's gonna love those Dragoons. Okay, guys, I'm gonna box up this last one. Bazooka Team number 3. U.S. Airborne Bazooka Team number 3. Okay, I think that works. Grab an envelope. Less than 1 ounce. I'm glad I remembered this before the I'm just going to put 2 ounces because it won't affect anything. Because if the mailman came and I forgot, then there would be a 1-day delay of these guys getting their stuff. And I'm about, yes, I put in there 1-day processing, but that's really just to give me a buffer. I actually prefer to ship them out immediately, like when they're paid, I'll box them up and ship them out the same day, or the day that, you know, the earliest that I can actually, because I feel that's good customer service. And if they're happy with that, maybe they'll come back and shop some more. You know, that's my thought process. All right, guys, give me 2 minutes. I'm going to run outside with these packages, and I will be right back. Well, this was in the mailbox, so hopefully that was from yesterday and not from today, and that I missed the mailman. I'll be a little disappointed. Because normally they don't get here this early. Normally it's like 1:30, or 1 or 1:30 when they come by. But either way, they're all boxed up. They've got shipping labels on them. They're out in the mailbox. And I'll check up on them, you know, at about 2 or 3 o'clock. I'll go out there and check to see if it's shipped. If not, I'll probably pull them inside because I don't like leaving stuff overnight out in the mailbox. Especially our mailbox. We've actually had people drive by and hit our mailbox in the past. There we go. And these glasses, I think they're a little overkill right now. I think my eyes are actually adjusting. I'm drinking, what's it called? Celestial. It's a type of tea. Celestial. This is their apple cinnamon. It's really good, but I don't like making it. Because it's a tea bag, but that's all it is a tea bag, and you just drop the bag in. Now, it would have been good at the convention because in my room I had this Mr. Coffee, which has a drawer. You pull the drawer out, you put the coffee bag in the little spot, you close it, and when you run it, you know, it drips through or whatever. And that kind of a tea bag would have fit in there perfectly, but that's not the way I make tea here. What I do is I boil water in my kettle, and then I'll pour it over the tea bag. And my Lipton and my Stash, they have these little handles on a string that you can lift the tea bag out and throw it away, where the Celestials, you got to scoop it out with a spoon, or, you know, dig into the hot tea with your fingers or whatever. And I just don't like making it, even though it tastes really good. Okay, I think I might have let in a fly. Okay, I'm putting my smaller glasses on. I've got some mid-range glasses. Maybe I could wear those for modeling. I might actually give that an attempt. Because I think these are 4 times magnification, which they're like 3 times as thick as the frame. Not those guys. Oh, here we go. Might be these guys. I've got about 5 sets of glasses over here. Because every year my eyes make an adjustment up or down. They're never the same. They always kind of like fluctuate. Oh my gosh, that's perfect. Okay, these are my mid glasses. Okay, yeah, that's great. Okay, so now I don't know which base they're actually supposed to be on, but I'm gonna assume the prone guys are supposed to be on these prone bases. You know, you would think. Right now I'm just doing a little bit of testing. And then I would assume their AG, who's also on his ass, would be ta-da! And then the standing guys would be, yep, he just barely makes it inside the lip. Ouch. Okay. Yep. This is the way this cookie crumbles. Okay. Yeah, I started talking about this early, but I kind of drifted off into something else. But I like the Hungarians because of their mixed uniforms. They have they bought a lot of uniforms from the British before World War II. So they basically have that English brown uniform, the British brown or whatever it is. That's the uniform, but like their boots and their helmets came from Germany, and then some of their weapons came from Germany or from Russia. So they basically are like a mixed bag of equipment. It's pretty cool, actually. And I assume it would be fun to play them on the table, but I'm not really a West Front kind of guy. Let me rephrase that. I said that backwards. I'm not an East Front kind of guy. I don't do Romanians, Finland, Hungarians, Russians. I don't do any of that. I do West Front. So I will do British, Canadians, Americans, Germans. I don't even do Italians, even though that's kind of the West Front. Kinda. And I could do them, you know. There's nothing stopping me from doing them. It's just I don't have any enjoyment playing them. Now I would consider, I don't really do this I don't have a whole lot of collection in the desert, but I think Africa Corps 8th Army would be fun. The downside, and one of the reasons why I don't play desert, is because of the lack of terrain. You know, or let me rephrase that. Lack of variety. You have hills, you got rocks, you got sand, you know, that's it. You got buildings. And they all look like square sand houses or whatever. Now, Tobruk and all that might have entrenchments, you know, minefields, sandbags, stuff like that. But that doesn't make it special. That makes it the same. So, because you can do that in Western Front. And it's early war usually, you know, with the Grant and Matilda, Panzer IIIs, some Panzer IVs, and I'm just not into that. So I saw that the Age of Dragons has started. I watched the first episode of Game of Thrones, you know, the new series with the Age of Dragons, and it's a little concerning. I'm okay with it so far. I'm not too upset with it at all, or they made it a little gory, which, you know, it's HBO and they like to do that, and that's okay. But I'm not. It's only been the first episode, so it's kind of hard to tell who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, and which I guess is intentional. They're making that kind of deliberate. Yeah, so right now the jury is out. I don't know if I'm gonna like it or not. Okay, so these guys are finished when it comes to assembly, basing, cleaning. Now I need to move on to something else, probably anti-tank guns. The mace throwers are going to be a little complicated. Maybe not. Maybe they're actually easier. I don't know. I don't even know what a mace thrower is. I mean, I know it's kind of like it's like a Nebelwerfer on rails. Very small, man-portable Nebelwerfer is what it kind of looks like. That's what's in here. Okay, this one is the mortar. These are the mace throwers. Okay. So if there are 3 figures or 4 figures, then they're obviously for the mace thrower. And if they're solitary figures, then they go to the mortar. Right? That's what I'm thinking. I mean, look at the size of that bomb. Okay, these guys are obviously mace throwers because they got mace rockets in their hands. Now, he's got his hands over his ears, so I assume he's a mortarman. This guy and this guy and this guy, they all look like they are either directing or launching. This guy's kneeling. I think he would be a mortar. Looks like there's going to be 3 mace launchers. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4 figures per mace launcher. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I think the way it was designed was the mace launcher and one guy possibly this guy would go on the base with the mace launcher. Could be wrong though. I'll probably take a look on their website to make sure I'm putting the right guys on the right bases to see how they do it. And it's a base short. It's a base short. Fudge. It might be one of these bases. So I can always steal a base from them. If I have to, I can have these guys prone on a base like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. But if it was 7, it wouldn't make sense either. So, there's probably supposed to be 8 bases in there. And there's not. Okay. I'll go find another base for them. Yeah, somehow I lost a base. No worries. Okay. Okay, if you've been following my channel, you know about Wargames Atlantic and the struggles I've been having with them. How I put an order in on the 1st of July, and or not, maybe it wasn't July, maybe it was the 1st of August, but I was contacted in the middle of July, and I put an order in on the 1st of August, and then by the 15th I still had not received any kind of confirmation of shipment. So I contacted their company, and their sales manager contacted me, which I really appreciate. And he said, "Hey, I don't have this order in our system. Could you resend it?" So I resent it, and then he said, "Could you send it as an Excel instead of a Google Doc?" And I'm like, "Sure, no problem." So I just used the Google Doc app to convert it to an Excel sheet. And then I just shipped it to him, because he said he was going to give it to a different sales manager, because I guess he was having problems with the guy that I was working with. Or maybe he no longer works there or something. I don't know the details. I'm not digging. So what is a pating? It looks like it's a Doctor Who figure. They sent me one of those free, and I just saw a picture on the Warlord site. I think I'm going to paint it and put it up on my channel. Okay, where are we looking? We're looking at World War II. Bolt actiones. More Axis, is that correct? Hungary, yep. Finland and all that jazz and stuff and things. Okay, so let's take a look at, maybe I can just search. Maybe that would be better. Mace. M-A-C-E. Hungarian mace thrower. There it is. Okay, this is interesting. They have this prone guy on the big base with the mace thrower beside him. and then everybody else is individually mounted. Okay, I can do that. I can make that happen. And I guess that's a picture showing how the mace thrower is constructed. It's very weird looking. Okay, so it's got that with wheels, obviously. It's got this mace thrower sitting on top of it. Oh, okay, hold on. Yeah, so it's got this bracket. Okay. Yep, that goes in there. It looks like this pushes through to the other side. Okay, and then that's very interesting, because that's an actual piece. Okay, this is a complicated model. I don't really get it. Okay, let's see if there's... Okay, well, let me zoom in. That's good. Okay, it hooks up. Okay, got it. Huh. Okay. Give you a little preview of what I'm looking at. Not sure about this piece down here. There is a third hole in this, and there is a third piece, just a stick. Just a stick, but I can't tell on the outside if that's supposed to be a handle. It looks like it is. So put it from the outside in is what it looks like. All right, let's do our best to try to put one of these things together. Because I'm sure once I get one of them put together, it should be no problem putting the rest together. Okay. Slide my garbage can. It's 12:48. All right, guys. I know nobody's chatting with me in the stream, which is perfectly fine. That's I'm a no pressure kind of guy. But if you have any questions for me, now would be the time to ask, because we're going to be ending the stream here in about 10 minutes. There was something I wanted to tell you. Oh yeah. So here, let me just talk to you, and if you have any questions, post them, and I'll answer them towards the end. My game, my World War II game, it went over with flying success. I really liked it, but I feel for the American players, because there is no way for them to win. Zero chance. Less than zero. Right? And I don't like playing games. Let me rephrase that. I do a lot of rephrasing. I don't like running a game knowing the outcome. You know? Knowing that one side is going to win and the other side's not going to win. I don't like that. It might be historically accurate, but that doesn't make for a fun game. I want there to be a chance. I don't mind historically accurate scenarios. Actually, I prefer them. But I also, there are options where you can play a historically accurate game where both sides have a chance to win. And I don't like playing games that are historically accurate where there's no chance to win for one side or the other. And this scenario that I ran is one of those. There is no chance for the Americans to win. And when I say no chance, I mean no chance. Okay. So what that tells me is something's got to change in that scenario. If I want to run that scenario again, something's got to change to make it balanced. Right? Might have to tweak history a little bit. Might have to adjust the game rules, because no game is perfectly representative of what actually happened in a battle. So if I tweak it, I might be tweaking it closer to reality, because apparently the Americans did win that battle, and there's no way for them to win using these rules. So far, so good? Okay. What are some of the problems? Okay. The first problem is it's too far for the Americans to move. If they move 10 inches a turn, see, I thought I had gotten this worked out, but if they can move 10 inches a turn, they could cross the causeway and get into the German side and actually have a battle. And yes, they can move 10 inches a turn on the causeway. If they opt to not go through the causeway and go cross country, the odds tell me they will move 7 inches a turn, because you roll 2 dice, right? And the odds are you're going to roll a 7. You might roll a 10. Hell, you might roll a 12. But a 7, and that's reasonable. That's a reasonable amount of cross-country movement. So a die roll is fine. Okay, that's extra lead. Okay. So all that is fine. Now here comes the problems. There's a bunch of things that prevent that from happening. I'm dribbling on myself. Okay, I got a drinking problem. The Germans have pre-plotted artillery on the causeway, which causes the Americans to sustain heavy losses on the causeway. When I mean heavy losses, I don't necessarily mean kills, even though there are kills. But a lot of it is pins. And in that game, a pin is almost as deadly as killing the squad. And so, with their pre-plotted artillery causing every American unit on the causeway to be pinned, it pretty much makes it so the Americans can't utilize the causeway. Almost. Did I just put glue on both sides? I think I did. Okay, these pieces are very small. I would think they're 15 millimeter, but no, they're not. Oh, that's not even in the axle. Hold on. Yeah, I don't see how this is going to work. I'm going to have to maybe put some gap filler in there or some putty or something to make sure that these wheels have the... Well, actually, if I glue it onto the base, it'll have a third point of contact, so it should be okay. Okay, well, let's, while I hold this and let these wheels dry, just for a minute, yeah, with the pre-plotted artillery, the Americans just cannot use the causeway. With the causeway of death, meaning the Germans are constantly putting bullets on the causeway, they've got to roll for casualties every turn they're on the causeway. That's just free casualties for the Germans. There's minefields on the causeway, so the one American tank can't use the causeway because there's a 1 in 3 chance it will blow up. It can't go cross country because it's flooded. So the tank is out of action. The infantry are out of action. And then the yeah, and so they have to really fight with tooth and nail to get halfway across the battlefield in 4 hours, right? So that's just not conducive of the Americans having a chance to win the game. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. I'm not going to touch it because it's flimsy as it is. Okay, so there's a couple of things I already attempted to nerf, and that was the Causeway of Fear. Instead of a D3 casualties every move, I changed it to one casualty every turn. So, because your moves, you can make 2 moves. So technically, you would have potentially had 2d3 casualties every turn, which could cause your unit to be wiped out after 2 or 3 moves on the causeway. Especially like a medic. If a medic tried to run up the causeway, he's only a single figure. A D3 automatically kills him. So that's unacceptable. So I reduced it to 1, giving everybody 1 per turn. But the problem with that is whenever you get hit with artillery and you're pinned, you're stuck there. And then, so the casualties, the causeway of fear casualties was not that big of a deal. But when you receive casualties, there's a chance you have a morale check. There is a morale check. You roll a morale check, and there's a 1/3 chance that you're going to be pinned. So it's like almost a guarantee that you're going to be pinned on the causeway. And Americans just can't do that. And then if they go cross country, not only are they rolling for how far they can move, but that roll also determines if you take any casualties while moving across cross country. And the cross country is wide open. There's some hedges, but it's not that big of a deal. So the Americans have an impossible task to get across. So how could I change that? Or how could I modify that? I think the first thing is getting rid of the pre-planned artillery, because they already have an FO. The FO can call artillery. That artillery can deviate. Hey. I don't know if the mailman ran. I went out there to put mail out there, and there was like that little newspaper thing.
Well, it must have. I put a package in there this morning.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, so he must have ran already.
You put something else in there?
I did.
Oh. Well, he's ran already then. I put it in there before I left for work.
Yeah, it was gone, so.
I wouldn't leave anything in there overnight.
No, I won't. Okay, well, that answers that, guys. My packages are going to have to come in and be shipped out tomorrow, which is no problem. It's just 1 day. That's why I give myself a 1 day buffer for situations like this anyway. Okay, so I'm thinking getting rid of the pre-planned artillery. He already has artillery. He already has an FO. All of his platoon leaders can call the mortars. So they can still get artillery, and they can even call it in on the exact same spot. It's just by making it a random die roll, then it becomes maybe less effective. He has to make a communications test, and he has to make a deviation test. But with a pre-planned, there's no communications test and there's no deviation. It just lands. And so, and because the Germans aren't moving anywhere, they're not conducting any moves. Every turn they've got way too many orders to use anyway. They're dug into emplacements that give them a 3+ cover save, and it makes them obscured, where the Americans are in the open with no cover, maybe some light cover, maybe a 6+ or a 5+ armor save, cover save. It really just makes it impossible for the Americans. The Americans don't outnumber the Germans, and you would think that any attacking unit should outnumber his opponent by at least 3-1, right? Well, I did the math on the points, and both sides have the same number of points, or real close to the same number of points. And if you give both sides the same number of points, but force one of them to be on the attack, it's unbalanced. So what I think I'm going to do is maybe strip the Germans of a platoon of their infantry. So instead of having 3 platoons, they'll only have 2 platoons, and then the Americans will start with more troops on the table on turn 1, so that they don't have to wait. That's another thing. The Americans aren't all on the table. The Germans are. The Germans are 100% on the table. The Americans have to come in piecemeal, and that's another thing, that whoever wrote this scenario didn't want the Americans to win. Which, I don't mind if the Germans win or the Americans win. I just want it to be fair for both sides. So I think I'm going to put more troops on the table, or all the troops on the table at the start, on both sides. And that way he can, because that way you can rush, you could bum rush the Germans, and he can't drop artillery on everybody. But when you piecemeal it, everybody is getting hit with artillery every turn. So it's like, if you got the paratroopers running down the causeway, they're hit with artillery. On the following turn, you got the glider troops running cross country, you hit them with artillery. The next turn, another glider troop runs across country, you hit them with artillery. So there's... But if you had all 3 platoons going, then the Germans would have to decide which one he wanted to drop artillery on. And that would give the other 2 an opportunity to advance. So I think that's the way I'm going to do it. Everybody starts on the table on turn 1. 2 German platoons, not 3, and no pre-plotted artillery. I think that's the way it should be. And then I think the scenario, I don't need to change the map. I know it's an 8-foot map. I could have made it a 6-foot map. I initially started making a 6-foot map, and then I realized the scenario called for an 8-foot map, and I think that was a mistake. I think I should have stayed with a 6-foot map, because that would mean less time on the causeway and less time cross country. I think a 6-foot map would solve a couple of the problems of the distance they've got to travel cross country in the open. Everybody on the table, no pre-planned artillery, -1 German platoon. That's a lot of nerfing and buffing on the Americans. But I think that scenario needs it. Yeah. And by taking a platoon off the table, that will also reduce the battle rating of the Germans, which means they would be closer to being eliminated or breaking. And I don't necessarily like that, so I might buff their battle or leave their battle rating the way it is, just take the troops off. Say they're deployed somewhere else, or something. Yeah, that scenario, it taught me not to take it taught me not to take a written scenario for granted. You really have to evaluate it and test it a few times before you go to the convention. I had only tested it once. The Americans lost. I chalked that up to me being stupid and not the scenario. I didn't really do an evaluation of the scenario, but at the convention, playing with people I've never played with before, playing the full game with newbies that have never played the game before, it was very enlightening. Because the same thing happened to them that happened to me. So it wasn't that I was an idiot. but I was like, I was playing what I thought would win, and they were playing what they thought would win, and the scenario just didn't allow for that. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to stay on a little bit longer because I want to finish this mace launcher, and I want it to look good. Okay. So the fork to the rear. Okay, not only is a fork to the rear, but it's also pointing downward. Ah, there we go. Okay. That looks like it should go in straight and not at an angle. Okay, okay, okay. See if we can't get this to work. And I think that if I push it all the way in, it'll cant the front because of the way the little hint, what do you call those things are? I don't know. There's like a little clamp or something there, and then this clamp's a little bit further in. So if you push, it'll go. So I don't want to do that. I want it to be kind of parallel, so or perpendicular, as you would say. Okay, that's working really well. Okay. Okay, so while this is drying and that is drying, I could at least go through and trim these guys. So really we're just waiting for this to dry before I start assembling some additional pieces on there. Okay, he's trimmed. It's actually not as hard as I thought. The only problem is those wheels are they have like a very big hole in the wheel, and the axle on this base is a very thin axle. So it's like you got a thin axle and a big hole on the wheel. So there's too much movement inside there. That's why I was thinking I needed to do maybe some puttying or fill it with some plastic. This stuff is an acrylic resin, and it just squeezes out, and I just brush it in there with a toothpick or whatever. So I called the Marriott this morning
And?
because apparently they charged both of our cards.
What?
Yep. And
You paid for that.
yeah, so I contacted him and I said, hey, what's going on here? And the guy said that he took all my information and sent it to accounting in 3 to 5 days. So I said I would, wait a couple of days and call him back, find out what's going on.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah. Because when I got, and this is kind of what happened, I think. I'm kind of thinking this is what happened. When I got there, they said, I need a credit card on file for, like, if you damage the room or if, you
Right.
know. So I gave them my credit card. Right? And then now I'm seeing a charge for the room.
Well, yeah. I would be
And I
called
said,
out.
I know you had already paid because I got the
Yeah.
receipt or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, that can't be, so let's
I'll
get
be calling them every day, not every 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'll be calling them tomorrow, too.
Yeah. What's the status?
Yeah. I'll be bugging them till
They resolve it?
tired of hearing from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only way to get anything done.
I might do that. I was debating if I was going to call them early anyway.
No, I'd be pestering them. I mean, they shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
What was I doing?
Warlord does know how to make a good model. I have to say that. They've got some good sculptors over there. Now this is just worn out molds, it looks like. Bottoms of the shoes and the between the legs as a little extra. These guys' facial expressions look almost like Easy 8. If you guys can remember that model company, Easy 8. They made that that miniature game, and their World War II models were on slaughter bases, like old Warhammer 40K. The slaughter bases are okay, but I like these bases better. Okay, that feels like it's not washed, but I did. I washed them soap and water, scrubbed them down. They must have just had a lot of mold release on them. I never even heard of the mace launcher. Like I said, I don't do a lot of the East Front stuff, so I don't even know what this thing is. And that's one reason why I like Wargaming, because you learn so much about the equipment, its use, development, who used it and why, and I've been wargaming for years and I never heard anything about a mace launcher. I don't know what it is. I did some research on Google. I looked it up. It is an actual thing. It's not a fantasy weapon. Okay. Alright, so there is an actual hole at the bottom, and it looks like this one goes in the bottom, and I don't think it matters how it turns, because it's probably a crank for elevation or something. I'm guessing. But that would seem reasonable. Okay. Doesn't look dry. Okay. Okay, that's how it's going to go, huh? Just straight on. That's what it looks like on the picture. Just straight on. Okay, I'm going to give it a little pressure. Let it sit for a minute while I'm pushing on it. Yeah, it's going to need a little bit more than just a couple of seconds. This is something I probably could have used the gel on. Gel might have been a better choice for the mace launcher. Okay. There we go. Okay, we're getting there. Okay. Now we already know that the guys that are laying prone are on the big bases, but everybody else is on the little base, so I'm just going to go ahead and mount them. No, I'm not. Oh, I totally forgot. File. better. Doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs to be flat. What I normally do is just put the file on the table and then rub the model up and down the file. Till I get like a sort of a flat base. I'm going to be doing a video about this probably tonight, using the 101st Pathfinders that I've already done a what's in the box with these West Wind Pathfinders. I'm going to do a video about the file, but I'm going to use those to show off how the file works. See, it's those little steps like that with the file that I give to my customers. Didn't have to do that. I could just glue these guys down with rough bases. But I know these would stick better if they lay flat. Once these guys get glued down, then I'm going to continue on finishing that. I want to get one of them done before this video ends. We're already at 1:30. It's lunchtime. Okay, those are all good. Let's get them out of the way while they dry. Oh, I didn't file these guys down, did I? Nope. It's alright, we'll get them here in a minute. Okay. That seems like it's in a reasonable position. This is the last thing. This bar should glue on there, and then this bar should glue right there in that little groove, and then this is probably going to glue in the front or back of that. I guess we're about to find out how that works. Interesting. Okay, hang on. And I see this See this piece on the right? It's not supposed to be sticking out. Oh, okay, hang on. Yeah, I can do it like that. Got it. Okay. Whoa, that's way too much glue. But that's okay, it dripped down onto the mace main support, so maybe it'll help hold everything together. Finger was getting stuck to it. This is actually a horrible model. I don't like this model. Yep, the mace launcher is moving around. It's not dry. Out of balance. Okay, this might be the play. Mount the mace launcher, the mace rockets on the launcher first before you put it onto the carriage. Maybe. Yeah, there's very little support for this entire mace launcher is right there in that center. It's very little support, if any. This is a horribly designed model. No balance. Okay, I feel like I'm not giving it enough time to dry. Look at that tire. Okay, I think I'm done with this. I'm gonna let it dry for 30 minutes before I go messing with it. Alright guys, well that's the end of the video. Thank you for coming out and checking this out. And I will see you next week.